Ever wondered what powers the world's wildest sports? Picture this. Engineers smashing helmets to shield Formula One daredevils, stonemasons chiseling granite for Olympic curling glory, and chefs smoking mountains of brisket to fuel Super Bowl madness. From ballet shoes stitched for gravity-defying leaps to mud wrestlers swinging hand-forged maces in India's clay pits, every sport hides a secret army of artisans. What does it take to craft the gear, prep the fields, and feed the frenzy of champions? Buckle up, because we're diving into the sweat, skill, and genius behind the games you love. Ready to see the unseen? Let's go. Racing helmet engineers. In a vast Bahrain factory where the clang of instruments fills the air, a dedicated team of engineers, guided by an experienced overseer, produce the helmets that protect Formula One drivers from the chaos of high-speed crashes. These helmets are not just equipment, they are life preservers, born of a meticulous process that begins with the inner shell. Thousands of tiny plastic beads are poured into a steel mold that is heated to a precise temperature until they harden into a dense foam lining, a process that dates back to the 1950s but has been honed with modern technology. Soft but inflexible, the foam absorbs crash energy like a silent hero. The outer shell follows. Sheets of carbon fiber, as rigid as the race cars themselves, are layered by hand with surgical precision. Operators insert the flexible strands into a mold, where they are baked at searing temperatures for 30 minutes, to emerge as a rigid shield. A jigsaw whirs away, cutting away excess material and carving out a dozen vents. Each hole is drilled with a diamond-tipped bit to keep drivers cool in cockpits hotter than a stove. Fine grit sanding smooths away rough edges, and a thick paste seals microscopic imperfections that leave no room for weakness. Sprayers apply layers of primer, paint, and a glossy clear coat, each one undergoing a brushstroke in a 70-year quest to strike a balance between comfort and durability. How do they make a helmet that's both a castle and a feather? It's a symphony of innovation and sweat that keeps every driver's head safe at 200 mph. Curling stonemasons, on a remote Scottish island, lashed by wind and sea, a rare granite becomes the heart of Olympic curling, a rock so prized it's the only one trusted for the games. A small band of masons ventures here every decade, wielding portable drills and hammers to quarry boulders weighing tons from jagged cliffs. With no power or water, they ferry everything, tools, fuel, even tents, across treacherous waves. The granite splits into two: blue hone, smooth and dense for sliding on ice, and common green, rugged for striking foes. Back at the workshop, diamond-tipped saws slice these slabs into 14.5 centimeter thick rounds, water jets cooling the blades to prevent cracking. Each cheese is cored with a spinning bit, its edges chipped away by hand with chisels and mallets in a rhythm older than steam trains. The blue hone disc, polished to a mirror sheen with abrasive belts, slots into the common green body using a custom jig, its fit so tight a hair couldn't slip through. Masons scour every inch, rejecting stones with veins or fissures that could shatter mid-match. A lathe spins the stone against a grinding wheel, shaping its curves to a perfect 40-pound weight, its base hand-sanded for friction that curls just right. Why this granite? Its crystals, locked tight by nature, defy the cold and chaos of the game. Could this stone decide a gold medal? That's the fire in every mason strike. Ballet shoemakers. In a London workshop humming with tradition, a tight crew of shoemakers crafts point shoes that lift New York City ballerinas like Grace through the Nutcracker's grueling run. It starts with a leather sole, hand-stapled to a wooden last, a base for a shoe destined to break daily. A secret paste, flour, water, and whispers of mystery, slathers onto burlap and paper, layered into a toe box that dries overnight in a warm chamber, hardening to cradle toes on point. The vamp, a satin guard over the digits, is snipped with precision shears and sewn by a whirring machine, its length fine-tuned to bend without snapping. The shank, Cardboard or layered leather is glued beneath, curved with a press to hug the arch, its thickness adjusted with a planer for each dancer's strength. Artisans hammer the satin into pleats around the box, a delicate dance of folds that takes years to master, while a needle stitches the edges tight. Grace customizes them further. Rubbing alcohol softens the box, jet glue hardens the tips, and scissors tear away excess in a 30-minute ritual of destruction. Across the pond, innovators mold synthetic boxes from thermoplastic in high-pressure presses, fusing satin with heat instead of stitches, crafting shoes that flex without breaking. Why this duality? Ballet demands beauty through pain, and these, makers, old and new, forge the tools for every pirouette's magic. Lacrosse stick craftsmen. On a Native American reservation, craftsmen like Alfie and his apprentice transform hickory logs into lacrosse sticks, reviving a game steeped in spiritual roots. It begins with felling trees by axe, splitting logs into rails with wedges, and air-drying them under tarps for a month to lock in resilience. A bandsaw, guided by Alfie's weathered hands, slices these into blanks, each checked with calipers. Too thin risks a snap, too thick weighs a player down. The wood steams in a 1960s relic at 2,000 degrees, softening over 40 minutes until it bends like dough. Alfie tests it by touch. Stiff, it's back in. Pliable, it's clamped into a wooden jig, bark binding fibers as it sets for weeks. Months later, a second steaming reshapes the head, pressed into a rack of blocks for 2 more weeks. Carving follows. Draw knives peel along the grain, preserving strength, while a hand drill bores 20 holes around the head. Sanding with coarse blocks smooths it, and Alfie strings the pocket. Nylon, leather, and rawhide cord woven in a pattern he perfected decades ago, a nod to when sticks were all hide. Plastic rivals loom, but these bespoke wooden relics, tailored to each player's grip, pulse with tradition. What fuels this craft's survival? A fierce tie to a warrior's legacy. Racehorse trainers. At Churchill Downs, trainers like Kenny orchestrate a symphony of care to ready thoroughbreds like Mystic Dan for the Kentucky Derby's thunderous spotlight. It starts with the hooves. Farriers heat aluminum shoes in a portable forge, hammering them to fit, then nailing them tight with a clincher, each shoe reinforced with steel to guard bruised soles. Grooms bathe the horses post-run, scrubbing with high-end shampoos from buckets, then brushing conditioner into manes with combs, a shine-enhancing ritual that takes an hour. Legs are wrapped in cotton bandages, hand-rolled to support tendons, while hot walkers pace them around the barn for 30 minutes to cool muscles. Any skip risks cramps. Trainers map every day, morning gallops on a dirt track, timed with stopwatches, push speed without exhaustion. Afternoons bring feed mixed by hand, oats, hay, and supplements scooped into troughs. Tack, bridles and saddles, is cleaned with leather oil, adjusted with wrenches for a snug fit. Behind it all, gardeners pot flowers with trowels, and chefs chop ingredients for massive crowds. How do they turn a colt into a champion? It's a relentless blend of craft and instinct, every detail a step toward the winner's circle. Soccer ball manufacturers. In Sialkot, Pakistan, the world's football hub, factories churn out balls that grace global pitches. Rubber sheets, heated in a massive press, form bladders, cut into rounds with a die cutter, then inflated with a pump. These bladders bake in steam vats, hardening under pressure for minutes, their seams sealed with a hot iron. Synthetic patches, hexagons, and pentagons replace old leather, cut by hand with shears or stamped by a hydraulic press, then stitched or thermally bonded. Hand stitching uses wax thread, looped through awls in a slow dance. Thermal bonding fuses patches with glue in a heat chamber, edges aligned by a jig for speed. Machines test them, kicked, squeezed, deflated, ensuring they meet pro standards. Once water-soaked hides, now these balls defy the elements. Why here? A craft legacy meets modern grit dreaming of World Cup glory. Cricket bat makers. In England's misty forests, English willow trees grow slow and straight, their tight-grained wood destined to become cricket bats coveted by pros. The journey starts with a chainsaw slicing logs into 28-inch segments, each split into clefts with a wedge and mallet, every cut guided by hand to follow the grain for strength. These clefts air dry for months under sheds, then bake in a kiln, a hulking oven that draws out moisture with controlled heat, preventing splits. Workers wax the ends with a petroleum paste, brushed on thick to lock in integrity. At an Indian workshop, a bandsaw trims each cleft to size, carving a V-notch for the handle. Cane from Singapore, layered with rubber, smoothed with a lathe, and glued in with a 16-hour cure. Planers and adzes shape the bat, flat face, curved back, thinning it to a lightweight heft, while a mechanical press rolls the face, compressing the soft willow into a hard, ball-smacking surface. Sanding belts polish it smooth, and a rubber grip is wound tight with string, glued in place. Pros crave the ping, a sound born from this craft, tested by ear. Why willow? Its fibers promise power, a legacy now battling counterfeits and climate shifts. What makes a bat a legend? A dance of nature and skill perfected over decades. Football field painters. At SoFi Stadium, groundskeepers like Jordan transform a battered NFL field into a Super Bowl masterpiece. The process begins with stripping old paint. P-Rex machines, armed with spinning brushes of stiff bristles, scrub the turf after a chemical solution, mixed in vats and sprayed from hoses, loosens logos. A vacuum sucks up the slurry, while water jets clean the tires to avoid stray streaks. New brushes snap onto the P-Rex with a wrench, and tanks refill with a fresh mix, a cycle taking hours until the field gleams bare. Painting follows. Stencils, cut from rigid plastic with a plotter, map out logos, some never used before, measured with tapes and chalked by hand. Painters wield airless sprayers, tracing edges with straight edges to keep lines crisp, while flimsy boards shield overspray. Rollers smooth the finish, and every machine, caked in splatter, gets hosed down with solution, scraped clean with blades. Post-game, blowers herd confetti into piles, shoveled into bins, and a litter cat's magnet sweeps up screws and seeds. How do they craft a gridiron canvas? Precision, grit, and a race against the clock. Golf club engineers in Japan's Sakata factory, Hanma's master craftsmen, 33 elite meisters among 200, forge golf clubs with obsessive detail. The head starts as a persimmon wood model, hand-carved with chisels and rasps by veterans like Satoru, shaping drivers' curves over days. For irons, steel billets are heated in a furnace, hammered into rough forms on an anvil, then milled by CNC machines into precise angles. CAD scans refine the design, digital lasers plotting titanium and carbon thickness, while simulations test durability. Shafts, made in-house, begin with high modulus carbon fiber, cut with shears and wrapped around a mandrel, a steel rod by hand, layered tight for snap-back strength. A pull-through method paints them, brushes dipping into vats for a flawless coat, baked dry in an oven. Assembly unites head and shaft, a robotic arm aligns the spine at a 6 o'clock angle, epoxy bonding them in a jig, tested with swings for balance. Why this precision? Every nuance, down to a custom grip, lifts a golfer's game. What's the secret? A blend of tradition and tech, honed over decades. Chess set craftsmen. In Amritsar, India, artisans carve chess sets for the World Chess Championship, turning boxwood trunks into 32 precise pieces. Logs dry for months in open sheds, then a bandsaw cuts them into small blocks, each clamped to a lathe spinning at high speed. Steel cutters, custom forged with sharp edges, shape the wood. Kings get 8 crown notches, queens a coronet jewel, all gouged by hand in minutes, except the knight. This horse-headed piece demands 2 hours. A carver sculpts its mane and snout with tiny chisels, ensuring symmetry across all four. A task so delicate only a handful master it. Electronic coils, wound with copper wire and glued inside, track moves for broadcasts. A modern twist. Pieces are weighted with lead, poured molten into bases, and felt pads, cut with a punch press, glue on for grip. Black pieces die in vats. For 10 days, then all are buffed thrice with polishing wheels, inspected under lamps for flaws. Why the knight's fuss? It's the set's soul, driving value sky high. How do they craft perfection? Skill, time, and a legacy of precision.